Hello and welcome to the next episode in my endgame course. So, today is our first advanced episode that we're doing. And if you haven't watched the other episodes already, then please do. Or if you're an advanced player, then of course you can just jump in here. This is a endgame I discussed in-person training with some of my strongest students last weekend, and it's all about the square rule here. And the complication is that there are actually two pawns. So you're white to move, and the problem that you have is you're two squares behind the black pawn, and the black pawn will march through and queen. You cannot really prevent this. But you have a pawn of your own. The problem is you can also not really prevent the black king from just walking up to your pawn and taking it because you're just much further away. So, how can you solve this problem? How can you either take this pawn or promote your own pawn? You will only manage to do one of the things, obviously, but yeah, maybe you can try drawing this endgame. And I will give you 5 seconds now to stop the video. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And yeah, congratulations to anybody who solved this, no matter how long this took, because this is some really complex endgame, quite an advanced endgame. And the basic idea is you walk towards your own pawn and the enemy pawn at the same time. And okay, how is this possible? This has to do with the geometry of the chessboard. So in physical space, this diagonal from h1 to e5 would be longer than the line from h8 to e8. We remember vaguely Pythagoras from school, but on the chessboard, this distance and this distance is the same length. So instead of walking over to your pawn like this, or towards the enemy pawn like this, you can actually walk diagonally. And what you've now done is you've walked towards the enemy pawn and toward your own pawn. So, okay, now the black king moves to b6, and you continue walking toward your own pawn and towards the h pawn. Well, what happens if the black king takes? Very easy. You just grab the black pawn. What if the black pawn moves up one square? King e5. Okay. h3. King d6. h2. c7. h1 queen. And c8 queen. So you both queen and it's going to be a draw. Okay. What if black just makes a run for it? h3. Well, now you can't stop um, the black pawn, can you? Yeah, but you can just walk up here. h2, c7, h1 queen, and c8 queen check. And yeah, of course you have to be mindful of the skewer, but as you promote with check, black has to move first, and you can just step out of the skewer, and this is going to be a draw as well. Okay, So this was quite complex, and you had to think about two squares in this example. So already not easy. I will give you a second example that's based on the same principle. So we'll empty the board. Sorry, this is in German now, so it says Brett leeren, but that means to empty the board. F3 and king to h3. And yeah, in this position, you can also do this. You are black to move. And again, on first glance, this endgame looks totally impossible. White has three passed pawns. Your king will never be able to stop them. Um, it looks almost like you should just give up here. But actually, if you know the square rule, if you understand how the geometry of the chessboard works, you can actually find a sequence of moves here that will save you the game. And I will count to 5 again to give you some time to stop the video. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And yeah, this is a tough one, and congratulations to anyone who was able to solve it. Again, if this confused you, just go to the earlier videos where I just look at very simple endgames. So here, black starts with king. Okay, black is too, sorry. Black moves king to b3. And yeah, it's kind of threatening to take on b2. But for example, king g3, king takes b2, and it actually looks like any of these pawns can just run now. But if you run with the pawn, then the king can actually chase it. And we have again this diagonally walking king to exploit this weird geometry of the chessboard and just moves up to its own pawn. And if the white king takes, well, then it just takes his pawn and grabs the next one. So king b3, maybe the next attempt a4. And this is, of course, a very a bit more tricky line because king takes a4 would lose here. Because now king g3, king b3 back, king takes f3, and if you take here, you can just not catch this pawn. So even if you've seen the idea of king b3, this is again very critical. So here, after a4, you actually also need to find the correct move. You can also pause the video here and think again. Maybe if you're really good, you already checked this, of course, during the first phase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we continue. And the solution is king takes b2. a5, king takes c3, a6, and now just king d2 and a7, f2, a8 queen, and f1 queen. And again, just please don't blunder your queen. Look for all the possible skewers. You can just keep them together. And this is, of course, a simple draw. Yeah, today was a tough episode. Thank you for sticking around till the end. And see you next time with more endgames.